So when the given problem, we were asked to prepare the journal entries for the February transactions, to post the entries to the ledger accounts, and to prepare an unadjusted trial balance as of February 28, 2019. We were also given the trial balance of the previous month, which was January 31, 2019. This would mean that we're going to continue our January balance to our February balance.
February 2, the transaction is paid this month's rent of 27,000 pesos. So atong debit is rent expense since ni-increase atong rent expense. Then unsay gipagawas nato atong cash. So nag-decrease atong cash, mo ni siya atong credit of 27,000 pesos. And don't forget to put hashtag at the end of each entry. On February 3, received fees for this month's services of 65,000 pesos. So, ni-increase atong cash, mo ni siya atong debit since nag-receive tag fees for this month's services of 65,000 pesos. And our credit is school revenue of 65,000 pesos, and then close your transaction.
So what happened in February 4 is that you purchased supplies on account 8,500. So what increased? Your supplies increased because you purchased your supplies and for 8,500. That's why you debit supplies. And then your credit is going to be accounts payable since it's on account, meaning utang, 8,500. And then you don't forget to close your entries. So on February 5, paid for oil change on a service vehicle, 4,000 pesos. So your debit is going to be gas and oil expense since na-increase ang imuhang gas and oil expense 4,000, and then you credit cash because you used cash to pay for the gas and oil expense. So ni-decrease hindi mong cash because ni-pay good ka. So 4,000 pesos. And then don't forget to close your entry.
On February 6, the transaction is ordered playground equipment of 100,000 pesos. So since ning order ka, wala kay nadawat, wala po kay ikahatag pa since nag-order pa ka. So this is a memo entry. So what you're going to do is you're just going to copy the transaction of 100,000 pesos and then close your entry. On February 8, the transaction is made payments on account of 17,000 pesos. So imong debit kay accounts payable since ang normal balance man niya kay credit. So meaning, if we put it in debit, meaning decrease ang imong accounts payable. And then, your credit is cash since nagbayad ka, nag-release ka cash. So, imong credit kay cash of 17,005 pesos and then close your transaction. February 9, collected from customers on account of 120,000 pesos. So, unsa imong debit? Cash, because you receive cash from your customers na naay utang. So, imong credit kay accounts receivable of 120,000 pesos. Ang normal balance sa accounts receivable is debit. So, meaning, pag debit siya, increase. So, if na siya sa credit, gamay imong accounts receivable. So, don't forget to put hashtag. On February 10, billed customers who had not yet paid for this month's services of 70,000 pesos. So, ni-increase imong accounts receivable because there are some customers that has not yet paid for this month's services. And your credit is school revenue of 70,000 pesos and then end your transaction. February 11, paid for the supplies purchased on February 4. So, ni-decrease atong accounts payable, mo ni siya atong debit of 8,500. And since nagbayad man ta, ni-decrease atong cash, mo ni siya atong credit of 8,500 pesos and then end your transaction. On February 13, received and paid for the playground equipment ordered on February 6. So you have received equipment on February 13. So ning mo ni siya imong debit of 100,000 pesos and ning bayad ka og cash mo ni siya imong credit of 100,000 pesos. Mo ni siya ang katong gi-order nimo on February 6 and then end your transaction. On February 17, purchased equipment on account of 29,000 pesos. So, ning increase imong equipment, mo ni siya imong debit of 29,000 pesos. And since giutang man nimo, ning increase imong accounts payable, mo ni siya imong credit of 29,000 pesos. And then end your transaction. On February 19, paid this month's utility bill of 14,500. So, paid. Your credit is cash since ning bayad ka sa imong debit na utilities expense of 14,500, and don't forget to end your transaction. On February 22, receive cash for 1 month services from customers previously billed of 50,000 pesos. So, receive cash. So, your debit is cash since naka-receive ka cash, ning increase imong cash of 50,000 pesos. Ning gamay imong accounts receivable since ning bayad ang mga customers na previously billed of 50,000 pesos. And then end your transaction. February 26, paid salaries of staff of 46,000 pesos. So, your debit is salaries expense since kiyatagan nimo sila og salary sa mga staff of 46,000 pesos. And in decrease imong cash, mo ni siya imong credit of 46,000 pesos since gibayaran nimo sila. And then end your transaction. On February 27, receive statement of account for gas and oil used by the service vehicles during the month of 32,500. So, your credit is gas and oil expense of 32,500 pesos. And since naka-receive ka og statement of account, so ni-increase ang imong accounts payable, mo ni siya imong credit, accounts payable of 32,500, and then end your transaction. On February 28, made a cash withdrawal of 11,500. So your debit is Ventic withdrawals of 11,500, and since ning decrease imong cash, imong credit kay cash of 11,500. And end your transaction.
In posting in the T account, what you're going to do is write the account title. Underline the account title, and after that, draw a straight line on the center of the underline, going down so that it makes a T account. When posting the T account, don't forget to put the date.
The normal balance of cash is debit. So when we subtract it, we will get the total balance of 194,000, and we will put it in the debit side because this is our normal balance for cash. And don't forget the double rule. So in here we have accounts receivable. Accounts receivable, normal balance is debit. So we will add all the normal balance and subtract it with the opposite balance to get our normal balance, which is 70,000 pesos. And don't forget the double rule.
Equipment. Since the normal balance of equipment is debit, so you're just going to subtract the debit to the credit side since there is no credit here, meaning zero. And then you are just going to add this one, the debit side, to get the normal balance, which is 233,000. And don't forget to double rule.
So in supplies, the normal balance is debit. So you're going to subtract the normal balance with the opposite balance. So debit minus credit. Since there is nothing on the credit side, it would mean that it is zero. So 8,500 pesos minus zero is 8,500 pesos. So in service vehicle, the normal balance is debit. So we're going to subtract the normal balance with the opposite balance. So debit minus credit. Since there is nothing on the credit side, it would mean that it is zero. So 1,740,000 pesos minus zero is 1,740,000 pesos. So in notes payable, the normal balance is debit. So you're going to subtract the normal balance with the opposite balance. So credit minus debit. Since there is nothing on the debit side, it would mean that it is zero. So 1,500,000 pesos minus zero is 1,500,000 pesos.
So for accounts payable, the normal balance of accounts payable is credit. So we will add first the normal balance and subtract it with the opposite balance to get our total balance of 208,500 pesos. And don't forget the double rule.
Venture capital. Venture capital belong to owner equity. In January 31, we have 537,000, and wala man tayo lain transaction, just copied our amount 537,000 so that mo na nay atuang and it's called normal balance, and don't forget the double rule. Ventric withdrawal. Ventric withdrawal belong to honor equity, so that in February 28 we have 11,000 pesos in the debit side, and we have no other transaction. Just copy the amount, and the amount is 11,000. Mao na nay N na to, tapos mao na nay normal balance na to. Then don't forget the double rule.
School revenues. So the normal balance of the revenues is credit. And then since there is no credit here, it means zero. Then you are just going to add this one to get the normal balance, which is 135,000. And don't forget to double rule.
So in salaries expense, the normal balance is debit. So you're going to subtract the normal balance with the opposite balance. So debit minus credit. Since there is nothing on the credit side, it would mean that it is zero. So 46,000 pesos minus zero is 46,000 pesos.
Rent expense. So we have 27,000 pesos, and we have any transaction, just always remember, if wala bitaw tay lain transaction, i-copy ra nato ang atuang amount so that makuha nato ang atuang normal balance. Mo na nay N nato. Tapos always don't forget the double rule.
Gas and all expense. Since the normal balance of the expense is debit, so just put it here. Don't forget, guys, that this is the debit side and the credit side. Since there is no credit here, so we just put it all in the debit side rather. So you're just going to add these two transactions to get the normal balance, which is 36,500. And don't forget to double rule.
Utilities expense. In February 19, we have 14,500. We have no other transaction. Just copy the amount of February 19, 14,500. Just muna na N na to, tapos don't forget double rule.
This moment, we're going to discuss about an adjusted trial balance of Ventic Nursery School as of the month of February 28, 2019.
Adjusted trial balance, what you're going to do with the account titles, you're going to write it in order. So from assets to liabilities to owner's equity. You have to remember that mas una ang revenue kaysa sa expense. So you're gonna write the revenue first and then the expense last.
So we have here the cash, which the normal balance of cash is debit, and after that you're going to write the end balance of the cash on the T accounts, which is 194,000 pesos, and don't forget to write the peso sign here. Receivable is 70,000 pesos, and you're just gonna do the same thing what you did on the cash, which is you have to copy the end balance of the T accounts on accounts receivable here. So that's it, 70,000 pesos. It's okay not to put a peso sign so that it won't look messy. So here we have the equipment, and the normal balance of equipment is debit. So after that, we're going to copy the end balance of the equipment on T accounts. So the end balance of T equipment is 233,000 pesos. Here, supplies. The normal balance of supplies is debit, and after that, you're going to copy the end balance of supplies in the T accounts, which is 8,500 pesos, and you just put it here. Here, service vehicle, and the normal balance of service vehicle is debit. After that, you copy what is the end balance of T accounts on service vehicle is 1,740,000 pesos, and you put it here.
Notes payable. Our notes payable, the amount of notes payable is 1,500,000. So that's the notes payables is belong to credit. Then the end of the T accounts is 1,500,000. And don't forget the peso signs. Accounts payable. Accounts payable, the amounts of accounts payable, we have 208,000 pesos. So that's the accounts payable. It's belong to our credit. The end of the T accounts have 208,000 pesos. So that we put in here. Vintage capital. Vintage capital is belong to our credit. The amount of vintage capital, we have 537,000. So that we copy the end of the T accounts. So we put in here the 537,000.
Here, we have vintage withdrawals, and the normal balance of vintage withdrawals is debit. So after that, we're going to put the end balance of the vintage withdrawals on the account. So it is 11,000 pesos, so you put it here.
School revenue. School revenue, we have amount of 135,000 pesos. The school revenues belong to our credit. Then, copy the end of the T accounts, which is 135,000 pesos.
We have salaries expense, and the normal balance of salaries expense is debit. So after that, you're going to put the T accounts and balance on salaries expense, which is 46,000 pesos. Just put it here. We have your rent expense. Normal balance of rent expense is debit. So you put the end balance of rent expense where in the T accounts here, which is 27,000 pesos. The normal balance of gas and oil expense is debit. So after that, you put the gas and oil expense and balance on the T accounts, which is 36,000 pesos. Utilities expense, normal balance is debit. So you put the end balance of utilities expense in T accounts here, which is 14,500 pesos.
The amount of the debit, which is 2,380,500 pesos. And we will add the amount of the credit side, which is 2,380,500 pesos. The total balance is 2,380,500.